The Galactic Academy of Military Excellence prided itself on cultural exchange programs. For a century, these programs had fostered understanding between species, encouraging collaboration among the diverse members of the Galactic Confederation. This year's exchange was no different, except for the presence of Cadet Tom Reed, the first human to participate. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, joining only 5 standard years ago. Their homeworld, Earth, was classified as a Deathworld, a planet with environmental conditions so harsh that most sentient species would find survival impossible. High gravity, extreme temperature variations, aggressive predators, and persistent microbial threats had shaped humanity into something the galaxy found both fascinating and terrifying. Admiral Krell, the blue-skinned, 4-armed Valoran who oversaw the Academy, had initially opposed Reed's participation in the cultural exchange with the warrior Case Drakari. The Drakari were renowned for their militant culture, physical prowess, and centuries-old combat traditions. They were among the most respected warriors in the galaxy, which is precisely why Reed had requested this particular exchange. "He'll be crushed within a day," Krell had argued to the Academy board. "Humans may be Deathworlders, but the Drakari trained from hatching. Their cultural practices aren't meant for outsiders." The board, intrigued by the educational potential, approved Reed's request anyway. On the day of departure, Reed stood alone among the 16 other exchange cadets. At 190 centimeters tall, with a sturdy build, he appeared unimpressive next to the towering Drakari warriors, whose scaled bodies and prominent ridge crests gave them another half-meter in height. Captain Thrix, the Drakari exchange coordinator, looked down at Reed with compound eyes that reflected multiple images of the human's face. "Final chance to withdraw, Earth Cadet." Thrix clicked in Standard Galactic. "Our training methods are not designed for softness." Reed smiled politely. "I'd appreciate the concern, Captain, but I'm here to learn." The reptilian officer made a sound like gravel in a grinder, the Drakari equivalent of dismissive laughter. "As you wish." The reports from the first day were concerning. Reed had been subjected to standard Drakari physical assessments, 5 consecutive hours of combat drills in 1.3 G, exposure to Class II toxins to build resistance, and ritual scarification to commemorate the exchange's commencement. Observers reported that while other non-Drakari cadets struggled significantly, Reed completed each task without complaint. The human displays unexpected endurance. Thrix noted in his official communication, perhaps Deathworlders possess some merit. By the 3rd day, the Academy's Oversight Committee began receiving unusual updates. Reed wasn't merely surviving the Drakari regimen, he was thriving. During the traditional Kralthak hunt, where cadets pursued apex predators across the Drakari homeworld's volcanic plains, Reed had tracked and subdued his target faster than any other participant. The human employs unorthodox methods. Thrix reported, when traditional weapons proved insufficient, he fashioned alternative tools from environmental elements. The Kralthak was neutralized using leverage techniques unknown to our warriors. On day 5 came the first signs of alarm. During the ritual combat circle, a centuries-old tradition where warriors demonstrated combat prowess, Reed introduced what he called wrestling, grappling techniques that exploited joint vulnerabilities the Drakari had never considered problematic due to their exoskeletal reinforcement. Several young Drakari warriors requested private tutorials. Admiral Krell summoned the cultural attaché. This exchange was meant to teach humans about superior combat traditions, not the reverse. What's happening? Cultural exchange flows both ways, Admiral. The attaché replied diplomatically. The human is simply participating fully. The final day brought the traditional endurance trial, a 60-kilometer march through the desert carrying a fellow warrior. The Drakari took pride in completing this challenge in about 14 hours. Reed finished in 8, carrying a warrior nearly twice his weight. Afterward, during the ceremonial feast, Reed engaged the Drakari elders in conversation about Earth. He spoke of training methods from various human cultures, the mental discipline of ancient Japanese warriors, the environmental adaptation techniques of Arctic indigenous peoples, the strategic thinking of military academies worldwide. He discussed how humans had turned their death world conditions into advantages, developing adaptability as their greatest strength. On Earth, Reed explained between bites of deliberately non-toxic food provided for him, we have a saying, adapt or die. Our entire evolutionary history forced constant innovation. By the time the exchange cadets returned to the Academy, Admiral Krell faced an unprecedented situation. The Drakari Command had sent an urgent communique requesting an expanded exchange program, specifically requesting more humans. The Deathworlder has. The message paused here, as if the writer struggled with the admission. Techniques our warriors would benefit from studying. In his quarters, Reed downloaded his exchange experience report to Academy servers, unaware of the minor crisis he created. His file now contained a new notation. Exercise caution when introducing human military concepts to allied species. When questioned later about the exchange, Reed simply shrugged. I just wanted to learn from them. I figured sharing was polite. He didn't understand why the Academy officers exchanged worried glances. He didn't see how his success had shattered centuries of assumptions about combat superiority. He certainly didn't realize that his friendly cultural exchange had triggered an emergency review of humanity's classification within the Galactic Confederation. The humans weren't just surviving in galactic society, they were redefining it. And as Admiral Krell now understood all too well, that made them the most dangerous allies imaginable. In his private log that evening, the Admiral wrote, the Confederation has encountered many warrior cultures throughout its history. We've seen species evolved for combat, bred for war, technologically superior in weaponry. But we've never encountered a species like humans who turn the mere act of survival into an art form, who treat adaptation as a way of life, rather than a response to crisis. They don't just fight to win, they fight to learn. And that, I fear, makes them unstoppable. The next exchange program was already oversubscribed with applicants from every major warrior culture in the galaxy, all requesting human participants.